Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma and with me is Nipunika Shahid, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Discovery of new COVID variant Omicron triggers global alarm. Nations rush to impose travel restrictions on affected countries. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi stresses on need to review plans for easing of international travel restrictions amid emergence of new COVID variant. World Health Organization appeals to countries in Southeast Asia region to set up surveillance and enhance vaccination coverage as new variant surfaces. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. In cricket, ICC Women's World Cup qualifier in Zimbabwe called off due to concerns over the new COVID variant. And in the Kanpur Test, New Zealand bowled out for 296 runs in the first innings on day 3, giving India a 49-run lead. As India created history by administering over 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. Please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now, the news in detail. World Health Organization has named the new COVID-19 variant B.1.1.529, which was detected in South Africa, as Omicron, saying it may spread more quickly than other forms. After a closed meeting of independent experts who reviewed the data, the WHO said preliminary evidence suggests there is an increased risk of reinfection and there had been a detrimental change in the COVID-19 epidemiology. The discovery of a new COVID variant has triggered global alarms as countries rushed to impose travel restrictions on southern Africa. The B.1.1.529 variant was first detected in South Africa, but cases have been confirmed in Botswana, Belgium, Israel and Hong Kong so far. In response, the US, Canada, the UK, Israel, Japan, Kenya and Singapore joined the European Union and several other countries in instituting travel restrictions on visitors from southern Africa. The US has announced to restrict travel from South Africa and 7 other countries in the region beginning Monday. The 27-nation European Union imposed a temporary ban on air travel from southern Africa. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said flights will have to be suspended until there is a clear understanding about the danger posed by this new variant, and travellers returning from this region should respect strict quarantine rules. The World Health Organization, WHO, has asked countries in the Southeast Asia region to scale up surveillance, strengthen public health and social measures and enhance vaccination coverage to contain the new variant of COVID-19 called Omicron. We have a desk report.
The global health body said festivities and celebrations must include all precautionary measures and crowds and large gatherings must be avoided. Dr. Poonam Khetarpal Singh, Regional Director WHO, Southeast Asia region said at no cost countries should let their guards down. In a statement, she said, though COVID-19 cases have been declining in most countries in the Southeast Asia region, the surge in cases elsewhere in the world and confirmation of a new variant of concern is a reminder of the persisting risk and the need to put the best to protect against the virus and prevent its spread. She said that countries must enhance surveillance and sequencing. Dr. Singh said comprehensive and tailored public health and social measures to prevent transmission must continue. The regional director said the more COVID-19 circulates, the more opportunities the virus will have to change and mutate, and the pandemic will last longer. Dr. Singh advised the most important thing people must do is reduce their risk of exposure to the virus, wear a mask covering nose and mouth, keep safe distance, avoid poorly ventilated or crowded spaces, keep hands clean, cover cough and sneeze, and get vaccinated. Reshma Tiwari for World News.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed on need to review plans for easing of international travel restrictions amid emergence of new COVID variant Omicron. The Prime Minister chaired a meeting to review the public health preparedness and vaccination-related situation for COVID-19 in New Delhi on Saturday. Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba, Principal Secretary to Prime Minister P.K. Mishra, Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan and Niti Aayog Member Health Dr. V.K. Paul were among the attendees. During the meeting, the Prime Minister was briefed about the global trends on COVID-19 infections and cases. Officials highlighted that countries across the world have experienced multiple COVID-19 surges since the onset of the pandemic. He also reviewed the national situation related to COVID-19 cases and test positivity rates. Mr. Modi was apprised of the progress in vaccination and the efforts being made under the Har Ghar Dastak campaign. He directed that there is a need to increase the second dose coverage and that states need to be sensitized on the need to ensure that all those who have got the first dose are given the second dose timely. Officials briefed the Prime Minister about the new variant of concern, Omicron, along with its characteristics and the impact seen in various countries. Its implications for India were also discussed. Mr. Modi spoke about the need to be proactive in light of the new variant. He said that in light of the new threat, people need to be more cautious and the need to take proper precautions like masking and social distancing. He highlighted the need for monitoring all international arrivals, their testing as per guidelines, with a specific focus on countries identified at risk. He also asked officials to review plans for easing of international travel restrictions in light of the emerging new evidence. India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 121 crore 84 lakh mark. Out of the total vaccination, more than 78 crore 14 lakh vaccine doses have been given as first dose, while over 43 crore 69 lakh doses have been administered as second dose. The recovery rate is currently at 98.34%, the highest since March last year.
In today's Hotspots section, we bring you a special program to mark the Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh Liberation War, Operation Searchlight, The Untold Story.
25th March 1971 was the darkest day in the history of Bangladesh Liberation War. Pakistani army triggered heinous ethnic cleansing on that fateful night in what is known as Operation Searchlight. Unleashing death squads, mercilessly killed 7,000 unarmed innocent Bengalis in one single night. 40,000 Pakistani soldiers, backed by armor and artillery division, were deployed to accomplish the genocide mission. Mohammadpur, Nakhalpada, Rajarbagh and other locations in different sections of the city only to be executed en masse. Professor Muntazir Mamoon, chairman of the 1971 Genocide Torture Archives Museum in Khulna city, told All India Radio that more than 3 million people were killed in that period.
The genocide and torture carried out by the Pakistani army 50 years back and their collaborators during the liberation war of Bangladesh in 1971, the then Pakistan, can hardly be compared with any other genocide in the world. After Second World War, such a number of people have never been killed together, nowhere in the world but in Bangladesh, within just 9 months. In just 9 months, the Pakistan army and their collaborators killed more than 3 million people. The official number is 3 million, but more than 3 million people were killed and more than 5 lakh women were raped.
So, what was the backdrop? In the Pakistan national elections of December 1970, the Awami League had received the majority of votes and won an overwhelming victory across Bengali territory. Taken aback by the development on February 22, 1971, the military generals in West Pakistan took the decision to crush the Awami League and its supporters. It was recognized from the outset that a genocidal campaign would be necessary to eradicate the threat of Bengalis demanding basic democratic and human rights.
The Pakistani dictator General Yahya Khan hashed the plot of genocide on 22nd March. Lieutenant General Tikka Khan, the butcher of Bangladesh, was given the charge of execution. Major General Rao Farman Ali and Khadi Hassan Raza drew the plans on that very day. President General Yahya Khan told his officers, quote, "Kill 3 million of them, the rest will eat out of our hands," unquote. At the very onset of the day, when Yahya Khan's troops moved into Dhaka, all foreign newsmen and correspondents were quarantined. There was a complete blackout of news. Even the Dhaka radio station was closed and no news would be broadcast to the outer world.
On the eve of this genocidal campaign, then President Yahya Khan left Dhaka for Karachi, but Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, then President of Pakistan's People's Party, casually observed the operation from the balcony of his luxurious presidential suite at the Hotel Intercontinental, Dhaka. He saw Dhaka burn in front of his very eyes, heard the helpless cries of innocent civilians, the crackle of burning material, the roar of tanks, the bomb of guns, and the rattle of machine guns. Yet, the very next day, Bhutto, on the eve of his departure, highly appreciated the action by the army and commented, "Thanks to God that Pakistan could have been saved." Captain Shahabuddin Ahmed, former member of Mukti Bahini, said, "The Pakistan Army's premeditative attack on unarmed civilians in Dhaka on 25th March spared no one."
He got one information that Pakistan was ready to create problem on 18th of March, the killing, the one they did it on 25th March. It was supposed to start on 18th of March night. And 25th of March, President Yahya of Pakistan, he left Dhaka and we saw with our own eyes that he is leaving. Flight took off. That night, 25th March, lot of killing. Whole Dhaka city was full of fire. People were crying for saving their life, but nobody was there to help the innocent people. The Pakistanis during this period create such a havoc on the unarmed people. They are not human beings.
The prime targets of Operation Searchlight were the Dhaka University teachers and students, the lifeblood of the resistance movement, who were exterminated in large numbers. The Pakistan Army sought out those especially likely to join the resistance, young boys. The next morning, bodies of young men would be found in fields, floating down rivers, or near army camps. On 7th October 1971, some army officers raided Rokeya Hall Girls' Hostel. The soldiers broke open the doors, dragged the girls out and stripped them before raping and torturing them in front of the helpless superintendent. The entire incident was so blatantly and openly done without any provocation that even the Karachi-based newspaper Dawn had to publish the story, violating censorship by the military authorities. Male students were lined outside their dorms and shot execution-style in batches, while others were made to dig mass graves and bury their newly deceased friends. After their job was done, they too were shot to death and buried on top of their friends. Describing the barbarism by Pakistan Army, the former Mukti Bahini fighter Rokeya Kabir said mass graves were dug by the army where people, dead or alive, were hastily buried and later bulldozed.
We went towards Jagannath Hall and then we found a newly buried, it is like not a grave, it is like a, where some people's hands, some people's legs were, and then from Rokeya Hall to Medical College and Hospital to see the situation. We went there and then in the footpath we saw dead bodies. Over there, lot of dead bodies inside the hospital and outside the gate of the hospital. So that atrocities.
Anthony Mascarenhas, a British journalist based in Pakistan, was the first to break the news of the Bengali genocide in international media. Reported a Pakistani army major telling him, "This is a war between the pure and the impure. The people here may have Muslim names and call themselves Muslims, but they are Hindu at heart. We are now sorting them out. Those who are left will be real Muslims. We will even teach them Urdu." Bangladeshi freedom fighter Firdausi Priyabhashini shares her ordeal during her captivity in Pak concentration camp.
সহসাই ঝড়ের মুখে পড়েছিলাম এবং আমি সেখানে আমার বয়স তখন 23 বছর আমি এই যুদ্ধের কবলে যে কোনো ভাবে আমি একা হয়ে পড়েছিলাম এই একা হয়ে পড়ার কারণেই আমি
I was in a storm-like situation. I was 23 years old then, and I was tortured by the Pakistani army and by the local collaborators who helped the Pakistani soldiers trap me. One day, an army personnel took me in a van and I was gang raped. I was violated brutally. I was begging them to let me go, but they later took me to a concentration camp. It was a place like hell. I saw many women without clothes over there. I can't explain exactly and accurately how many times I was tortured during the 9 months I was there.
অনেক কষ্টে যখন কনসেন্ট্রেশন ক্যাম্পে আমাকে একেবারে ফাইনালি নিয়ে যাওয়া হলো ওখানে যাওয়াতে আমি বুঝলাম যে এটা বিভৎস জায়গা বিভৎস
Expressing his disappointment, the renowned Bangladeshi historian Muntazir Mamoon says that in spite of the overwhelming evidence, footage of the killings, the mass graves, innumerable eyewitness accounts and the factual coverage by foreign journalists during 1971, the Bangladeshi genocide has still not been recognized as such by the United Nations. Even more repulsively, the Pakistani government, far from issuing an official apology, continues to deny that such atrocities even occurred, going as far as showing solidarity for the war criminals of 1971 and shielding them from prosecution.
Still, Bangladesh has not yet been able to gain international recognition of the genocide committed in 1971. Nobody supported us. Only India and Soviet Union supported us. So, the genocide, you see, victory was ours, no doubt about it. But they suppressed genocide and genocide incidents, killing fields, torture cell and mass graves. So, that's why we thought we should have a genocide museum so that people know what Pakistan did, Pakistani soldiers did to Bangladeshi people and their local perpetrators.
All India Radio from Kolkata provided a helping hand in bringing to the fore the brutal killings of innocent civilians in the then East Pakistan in 1971 and in the wake of Operation Searchlight. The stories narrating the woes of the people were broadcast in Bangla and told in other languages to the people across the globe.
পাকিস্তানি ফৌজের এই নৃশংস আক্রমণে বাংলার মাটি হয়ে উঠল লাল। কত মা সন্তান হারা হলেন, স্বামী হারা হলেন, কত স্ত্রী, কত নিরপরাধ শিশু হলো নিঃস্ব সর্বহারা। পাকিস্তানি বর্বরতার এমনই এক সাক্ষী ছোট্ট মেয়ে। আসবার সময় আমরা যখন বেরোই তখন আমার ভাইজানকে আব্বুকে খুঁজে খুঁজে মেরেছে, চাকু দিয়ে মেরেছে আর লঙ্কা।
চেঙ্গিস খানকে লজ্জা দেওয়া এই সব অত্যাচার আর বর্বরতার কাহিনী ভারতের জনগণকে আলোড়িত করল।
All India Radio pays heartfelt tributes to the patriotic martyrs on the 50th anniversary of the struggle for independence of Bangladesh. The sacred memory of the millions who were slain but not silenced, their glorious sacrifices enabled the birth of the great nation of Bangladesh. Their valor will continue to inspire future generations to fight injustice. In the words of Bob Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind, quote, "How many times must the cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? How many years must one man have before he can hear people cry?
How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? Yes, and how many years must one man have before he can hear a people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is a blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on Sunday at 11 a.m. Indian time. It will be the 83rd episode of the monthly radio program. It will be broadcast on the entire network of AIR and Doordarshan, AIR News website and News on AIR mobile app. It will also be streamed live on the YouTube channels of AIR News, DD News, PMO and the Information and Broadcasting Ministry. AIR will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. The regional language versions will also be repeated at 8 p.m. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back. You are listening to the World News. With just a day to go for the curtains to be drawn on the cinematic festivities at the 52nd International Film Festival of India in Goa, a wide array of films, documentaries, masterclasses and in-conversation sessions were held on the penultimate day. We have a report.
Winner of the inaugural Satyajit Ray Lifetime Achievement Award, Martin Scorsese's evergreen classic Taxi Driver shone through the list of screenings for today. The movie, which portrays the troubled life of a war veteran trying to come to terms to life in the city, is one of Scorsese's most popular works. Scintillating performances by Robert De Niro and Jodie Foster makes the movie a crowd puller for cine enthusiasts. Russian movie The Sun Above Me Never Set was also screened today. Films from the BRICS countries are in focus in this year's IFFI. The film by director Lyubov Borisova tells the story of a young Altan who arrives at an isolated island in the Arctic. His solitude there is interrupted by the arrival of an old man, Baybal, as the plot thickens. Coming in the backdrop of the recently concluded COP26 conference, makers of the Bangla movie Payer Tole Mati Noi, or No Ground Beneath the Feet, spoke to the media today. Producer Abu Shahid Emon passionately spoke about how the movie portrays the catastrophic effect of climate change on the poor in Bangladesh. The movie, directed by Mohammad Rabi Mrida, is in contention for the Golden Peacock in the international competitions section. The day will close with the screening of the homage to veteran actor Dilip Kumar. The movie Devdas, directed by Bimal Roy, will be screened. Pavan for IFI Desk, Goa.
The International Cricket Council has announced that the ongoing ICC Women's World Cup Qualifier 2021 at Harare in Zimbabwe has been called off due to the imposition of travel restrictions from a number of African countries, including the host country Zimbabwe, following the breakout of a new COVID-19 variant in southern Africa. The qualifiers will now be decided according to the team rankings as detailed in the tournament playing conditions. Therefore, Bangladesh, Pakistan and the West Indies will now qualify to the event in New Zealand. ICC Head of Events Chris Tetley said that they had explored a number of options to complete the event, but it isn't feasible and they will fly the teams out of Zimbabwe as soon as possible.
In cricket, India were 14 for the loss of 1 wicket against New Zealand at the draw of stumps in the second innings on day 3 in the first test match at Kanpur. Mayank Agarwal with 4 runs and Cheteshwar Pujara with 9 were at the crease. Shubman Gill was bowled out by Kyle Jamieson. Earlier, the visitors were all out for 296 in their first innings, giving India a 49-run lead. New Zealand resumed their first innings from the overnight score of 129 for no loss against India this morning on day 3. For the hosts, Akshar Patel took 5 wickets while Ravichandran Ashwin took 3 wickets. Ravindra Jadeja and Umesh Yadav took 1 wicket each. In FIH Junior Men's Hockey World Cup, defending champion India entered quarter-finals after defeating Poland 8-2 at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar this evening. Sudeep, Sanjay and Araijit all scored a brace each, while Shardanand and Uttam Singh chipped in with 1 apiece to complete the rout.
In the Indonesia Open Badminton, reigning world champion PV Sindhu bowed out of the tournament after going down to second-seeded Ratchanok Intanon of Thailand in the women's singles semi-final. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Wall Street Journal writes, new COVID-19 travel restrictions rattle global airline industry, hit shares. The Global and Mail says, WHO says new COVID-19 variant Omicron is a variant of concern as travel restrictions imposed in several countries. South China Morning Post reports Hong Kong further tightens quarantine rules on arrivals from 8 African nations in fight against new Omicron variant.
Now let's look at the headlines once again. Discovery of new COVID variant Omicron triggers global alarm. Nations rush to impose travel restrictions on affected countries. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi stresses on need to review plans for easing of international travel restrictions amid emergence of new COVID variant. World Health Organization appeals to countries in Southeast Asia region to set up surveillance and enhance vaccination coverage as new variant surfaces. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. In cricket, ICC Women's World Cup qualifier in Zimbabwe called off due to concerns over new COVID variant. And in the Kanpur Test, New Zealand bowled out for 296 runs in the first innings on day 3, giving India a 49-run lead.
India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnavajan, by artists from Yemen.
Vaishnavajan to tene kahiye je peed parai jaane re par dukhe उपकार करे तो मन अभिमान नाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने
that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.